Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Milan Cathedral, the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Windsor Castle, St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna, Austria, the Cologne Cathedral, the Tower of London, and Edinburgh Castle. They all have one massive thing in common. What is it? All of these places having this one thing that shows that the mainstream history is not giving us the full picture, and it's not even close. Massive palaces all over the world, constructed with perfection, and not one of these structures was built with a toilet. We're told that humans could ride on their donkeys without a light bulb and without a road, and construct palaces in every single country. Yet they had to go to the bathroom in their yard and wipe with a leaf. No, we're living in the ruins of the previous civilization. A civilization that either didn't use toilets at all, or this group of people were so advanced that they used a form of plumbing and sanitation that is completely misunderstood to us today. A way to remove the waste so that it's not inside your house. It was repurposed by the people who came after. What was repurposed? Not the toilets, because they didn't have any. So many of these structures, in my opinion, are repurposed, and they now need a toilet. We have shown that by using the organ in these cathedrals, it resonates with the bones below the floors. We are told that humans built the Milan Cathedral but couldn't figure out how to manage human waste. We are told that they just put their waste in the streets. They tell us that they dumped it out of the windows with a bucket and wiping with their hand. This is the story. This doesn't translate to constructing perfect palaces.
Think about every end of the world movie you've seen, apocalypse movie, etc. And think about how it ended and who the key players were in it, right? Now tell me how this is legal. The OpenAI co-founder wanted, I'm sure he did, build a doomsday bunker to protect the company's scientists from rapture. But let me show you exactly what his rapture is. So he wants to build this bunker to put all these scientists in. Think about Resident Evil and all the other crazy movies. Who's always the people trying to work out how to fix it? The scientist. In the case of a rapture, triggered by the release of a new form of artificial intelligence, which they're talking about is general artificial intelligence. Sorry, AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's a mighty large coincidence. Now think about all the people who are on the world stage. What kind of things that they're doing on the world stage? We're not getting to this, but we do have these satelloons all over the place, everywhere. What are they for? Then hundreds of billionaires buying bunkers. Here's the craziest part. Do you remember when the ex-CEO of Google came out warning about artificial general intelligence and that it's going to change the world in the worst way forever and we could not ever go back? Maybe these two guys are on the same thought pattern. And don't forget how intelligent these people are. By the way, he's teaching in Tel Aviv right here. Of course, speaking on their rapture, people need to wake up. AI was not discovered to be your little buddy and give you answers for quizzes or personal life problems or assistance. Think about the billions and trillions of dollars that went into AI. Matter of fact, so much money that Google and other companies are buying up whole fields by the hundreds of solar panels because how much electricity these things take. Or maybe it's for something else. Let me know what you think below.
Hopefully it's for something else. Either way, look like Skynet is right here knocking on our door. Shout outs to the real Moon Henry. It's crazy that scientists use the term rapture. I'm telling you, it could be looked at as a religion. Their version of the rapture is getting done in by the Terminators.
What universe are we in? Because there's so much going on around the world. Did you guys hear about this Walmart altercation? To me, it looked like a fight broke out and a lot of noises were being made and heard and it sounded like zombies and because one was biting the other. But it's just people at Walmart acting immature, right? And I cannot believe it, y'all. People are really out here with the robot dog in New York City. And the robot dog tries to go on an attack to this real dog. And look what happens, y'all. So how is something like this supposed to protect you? Okay, good luck in the future. And we also have this new crop circle that scientists are baffled about because we are in the midst of this change and this thing manifested out of nowhere. And it's basically showing it, y'all. It looks like a butterfly through the diamond, right? The chrysalis, the diamond beings. I've been telling y'all about this coming through that sun. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. This huge, massive cylindrical thing was seen out of the sky of Germany. Okay, Germany. And look at all the colors around it, y'all. Can you guys see the colors through the clouds? Y'all can see that, right? That's plasma. That's that plasma. Those are light ships. the burning down of Nottingway Plantation, and in this beautiful scene over here, you can clearly see there's people sitting at the window. Look at the shadows of melanated beings just sitting at the window, y'all. What world are we in? What universe are we in? Things are getting spicy out there, y'all. Can you feel it in the air, boy? The age of Aquarius is not playing. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Like, follow, share for more videos like this. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
Listen, y'all gotta be safe when y'all at Walmart. These people are crazy. And as far as them robot dogs, you don't want to see them things in the future. If you watch Black Mirror, nah, you don't want to see them things in the future. But that photo in Germany looked crazy, like an actual ship. It's not a way plantation. Definitely gotta look more into it. I'm not sure if I see people in the windows like he says he sees. Maybe I just need a closer look or something.
This was the largest antebellum plantation house in the South, owned by one of the richest enslavers in the South. This is the Nottoway Plantation in Louisiana. It was built by enslaved Africans in 1859. It was owned by this guy, John Randolph. Now, John wasn't even from Louisiana. He was from Virginia originally, but he came from a wealthy slave-owning family, and his dad was hired by the federal government, and he moved with him. Now, originally, he wanted to make it into a cotton plantation, the same type of plantation that he was used to in Virginia. But he noticed that the climate in Louisiana was a lot different, so he changed it to a sugar plantation. And because of that, he ended up tripling his family's wealth. And he was a huge financial backer of the Confederacy in Louisiana. When he realized that the Confederacy was losing, he left his wife in Louisiana, took 200 slaves, and went to Texas. Once the Civil War was over, he eventually died in 1883, and his wife eventually sold the plantation for $50,000. That's the equivalent of $1.9 million today. And now he has no legacy at all.
Just arrived at Sutton Veny, and behind me here is the two tree formations with the crop circle in the middle. You can kind of see it over there, but the site is absolutely stunning. Right, so we're inside the circle, and upon first entry, I can say that it does feel a little bit funky. Whether that be goosebumps on the arm, I kind of feel like I've got butterflies in the stomach, but it is a beautiful location, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's to do with where we're at, because it's so wonderful, or there's something more going on here. But upon first look, mate, like, these things are woven. The places, or the areas that are, this is the main pathway that people have walked on, but looking at the overall sections of the inner knot, the outer knot, definitely being placed in such a way, there's no broken stems, okay, everything's just kind of being laid down, you know. In sections where people have walked on, you can see where it's kind of like popped, because you can see where the footprints are. But on overall analysis, just on like eye level, it's pretty impressive. Wow, look at this section here, look. The way it's just laid, look. It's like braided. That's so cool. There's an eagle up there. Bless. Look at him go. Right, I'm just about to observe and take a section of this to look at closely. Again, this is a very small sample. Been given permission. There's a few bottle caps in here, which is quite funny. But we're going to just take a section to observe and look closer at. And again, all of these sections here, nothing's snapped, it's just pushed and placed. So if I point here, so a little bit up, so we've got a piece of the inside segment here. Cover that all back over so it's protected and covered. Right, first observation. Apart from digging it out, there's no breaking or snapping on the base section there, you see? It's been perfectly laid down, and it looks very happy, this segment of the crop. Look at that. No sign of browning or stress. Very green and beautiful. It almost looks like it's thriving still. Incredible. These sections here, look a bit more bulbous at the bases. They look swollen compared to some of the grain that's still standing. And I'll compare with that in just a moment for you. But look at it. Beautiful. Look at this section here, how it's just kind of whooshed in again. There's a few areas that are kind of spiked up a little bit. But it's just phenomenal. There's nothing here that's snapped or suggesting anything else. Look at it. Look at that. The formation. Oh. Again, look at this section of the knotted area. Look. Oh my word. Absolutely incredible. It's just laid and woven. It's quite astonishing. First observations, the site itself, looking at the inside sections and the outer sections, no signs of stress, breakages. It seems quite happy. All the laid down crops are still very green. They don't seem aggravated, other than the sections where people have walked on. But other than that, they seem quite happy and healthy. The ground smells quite coppery, iron almost, but whether that's to do with what's in the soil structure itself. I've been around wheat crops before, and it's something that I haven't noticed until now. And again, the environment, birds such as crows, there's a few jackdaws flying around, there was a couple of herons, and there was woodpeckers as well. They seem to just be flying around the air, cawing and kind of making a bit of a racket. And no birds as of the moment, you can see them flying around, they're not flying into the centre of the crop circle itself. They're kind of being on the outside. They're not exactly coming in, but like I mentioned before, there is a drone flying around, but walking up here, probably about half a mile the whole way, the birds seem to be quite aggravated for whatever reason. So, I don't know. A section of it to kind of take note of. So we've got EMF detection now, and we're going to go in and around and just see. There, which is the outer ring. Look at that. Let's see what happens. 0.11 at the moment, so it's jumped up to 17, 14. Right, I'm going to give you just a little brief rundown on the measurements I've taken of the crop circle itself, inside, on the outside circumference, and some of the main points inside as well. So, on the outside sections, so the circle all the way around from the top, bottom, left and right sides, they measure at 2.2 meters perfectly, all the way around. All the way around, it's 2.2 meters on the outside edge, right? And this doesn't fluctuate or differ. It's the exact measurement the whole way around. And on the inside sections where the knots are, on each corner, from the corner to the outside edge, corner to the outside edge, they measure from 1.2 to 1.3. So, in all, the measurements are only about 10 centimeters out, which is absolutely incredible accuracy for the size itself. The overall circle structure is about 75 meters in total in its circumference. It is huge. Now, on the Geiger counter readings, okay, I couldn't film the screen because for some reason it kind of bugged out on my camera, but I took some notes nonetheless, so take this as you will. So on the outside of the crop circle, we were reading on the Geiger counter, on the away from the crop circle, about 0.11, okay? 0.7, 0.11. Now, in the top section of the crop circle itself, specifically in these intersections here, it was reading 0.21. It spiked all along here, 0.21 significantly. Down the bottom, at this bottom section, it spiked to 0.31, okay? 0.32 on this bottom section here, so a little bit more intense. In the top sections where the points are, 0.27 average on the scale, and then we have a 0.28 average in the middle, well, on the bottom section, sorry, here. And in the center, I haven't noted it here, but it was about a 0.38 to a 0.40, okay? On what we were recording. So, very interesting. It spiked. Something to take note of. Right, Julius, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are and you own this land?
So I'm the farmer that farms here, and we farm on the edge of Somerset and around here, which we've been farming for about 350 years. And before that we farmed in Dorset. So we've always been farmers. And yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. We're very lucky on a nice day.
Gorgeous crop as well. Look at that.
Yeah, fortunately, it's one of our better crops.
Yeah.
It's been a very difficult growing season this year with the wet winter and the very dry spring. And we were quite upset when we came out here to see the crop had been flattened. However it happened. What a phenomenon, really.
Yeah, yeah. When did you first notice this crop circle?
We got a racing yard at the bottom here.
Yeah.
And the horses were coming up the gallops, which was just right by.
Yeah.
You'd be able to see. And that was about 6 o'clock in the morning. They informed us that a crop circle had appeared overnight. We had people up in the woods watering trees that we planted. They finished about 9:30, 10:15. Gamekeeper was walking his dogs at 10:30. So it was between the hours of 10:30 and 6 o'clock.
It's quite significant. Have you seen anything unusual in the area? Lights, military craft, objects, anything of that nature?
I've seen a lot of. I've seen lights. Seen some bright lights.
Is that recently?
Yeah. But we also have the Salisbury Plains about 3 miles that way.
Yeah.
So there's always a bit of activity over there. But we thought it was to do with that, but it could have been. It was quite close, and it might have been something else.
Yeah, 100%.
And as my house is out of sight, I can't say for sure what it was.
Yeah. And the historical significance of this place, we talked very briefly about your Bronze Age settlements in line with the churches over to the left side over there. Would you like to go into that just briefly?
So we have a Bronze Age settlement, filled up on top, filled over. Then there's a burial stone. And then we have, in a parallel line, we have the crop circle. And then all in line with the church, as you can see.
In the different distance, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Have you noticed any unusual behaviour with any sort of birds, your animals at all, livestock
I've
pets?
noticed my cows have been staring a lot this way up on the hill there. I noticed that yesterday. Today they seem a bit more settled. Now, I don't know why that is. They're used to people, so it won't be people. I don't really know what that is or what it was.
Have you experienced anything like this ever before? Or is this your first time having something so close to home?
I've never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have made crop circles here. As a matter of fact, I've seen crop circles in Wiltshire for a year or two. They used to be quite often every summer, but we haven't seen them.
Wow. And just last off, how has this affected you with the amount of people coming in here, your crops being damaged itself, and kind of the stress it could be putting onto your area?
We've had to charge because this is malting barley. It's a high cost crop.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been a particularly easy season, and the market's not particularly good. And we also want to get it under control so we can manage it rather than people just walking from all directions.
Yeah.
Because it upsets the staff and upsets the cattle.
Yeah.
So we need to keep it controlled.
Yeah.
And the cost of the damage. We're trying to recoup a little bit of back in.
It's 75 metre circumference, and it's just like, last off to say is like, if you're coming here, please be respectful of the landowners, the people that work around near the animals as well. Please talk to Julius directly if you want to come here. They are open. And what time do you guys close and open at usually?
Normally 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night.
6 o'clock at night, yeah. So, yeah, again, as long as you respect the area and you inform Julius and his wife what's going on, just be mindful of other people working here because it is a working farm, and just, keep it as that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for coming
You're
over.
a legend. Appreciate it. Thank you, Julius.
Now, how amazing was that? Shout outs to Interstellar Discussion with some real UFO journalism on the scene. That's crazy. I never seen a crop circle up and close like that, with the real measurements being about 10 centimeters off, for something that's 75 meters in circumference. I find it odd he didn't realize that the birds in the air were going crazy. Like, when you notice that? But he referred to the cows instead. Still in all, very amazing. Sutton Veney crop circle. Shout outs to Interstellar Discussion.
Over 700 million birds are getting away from this location on this one night on Tuesday. I wonder what this is and what's been happening over here. And before you say, yeah, migration's normal every spring and fall, not like that. Not to mention, if you're like me, you've been hearing birds tweeting at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like their whole rhythm is off. And you can't say it's just not a little bit eerie. All the things we've been seeing in the sky, all the crazy storms, the catastrophic tornadoes. If you know the girl who posted this video, please tag her below. Someone stole it on Twitter and that's where I got it. I later remember passing this and she posted more than one of these videos. I mean, what in the world is this supposed to be? Of course, the same exact time I showed you these clouds with this crazy blue hue coming off of it. Almost like it's an radiation ray. Now, those birds are all leaving from the same area. Check out this crazy phenomenon that this girl right here caught on the radio, which she says she watches it religiously over and over again. Why does it seem like it's so freaking hot right there for a split second? Isn't this like color-coded? What in the world would cause it to get really hot for a split second? It caused all this. Fast forward. I mean, come on now. Like this one tornado that was posted on Twitter looks like a freaking BOMB went off. Like, it's ridiculous. Birds migrating, normal. Birds all taking off at the same exact time, coincidentally, while all this stuff happened. And being up all night tweeting, not normal. Something's up. And I mean, literally, something is up.
It's up, now it's stuck. Shout outs to the real Moon Henry. Yo, them birds don't be lying, man. They tell you when something's wrong, when something's on the way, any ominous things going on. Dang, I can't believe half the things I just saw. What a video.
Can you remote view through time?
Yes, not a problem. You can go back in time, you can go forward in time. There's some proof that no human being operates in the moment. We're affected by our past, we're affected by our future. We know that to be true. We just don't know what the aperture is. We do know going into the past is way easier than going into the future. And the reason why is you go into the past, all the concepts that support action in the past, you're familiar with.
Would it be possible to manipulate time?
Yeah, I suppose you could if you had enough advance warning on something. You could be looking for it to the point that you could use it.
Alexa, how does the concept of lifting the veil relate to the song Purple Rain?
In the song Purple Rain, the veil is used as a metaphor for the secrets of the universe that are waiting to be discovered. The singer, Prince, expresses his desire to lift the veil and uncover the hidden mysteries of the world. This concept is further enhanced by the use of purple, which is often associated with royalty and power, suggesting that there is a deeper, more profound understanding to be gained by lifting the veil.
Alexa, what is the spiritual meaning of Purple Rain?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Purple Rain pertains to the end of the world and being with the one you love and letting your faith/God guide you through the purple rain, Prince said of the song's meaning.
Alexa, how did the artist known as Prince utilize the Magdalene codes in his music?
The artist known as Prince employed Magdalene codes in his music by incorporating them into his work. These codes, which were believed to represent the symbols for male and female, were used by Prince in his 14th album, titled Magdalene. The use of these codes in his music has led to various speculations and theories among fans and scholars alike.
Alexa, what influence did the number 7 have on the glyph that the artist formerly known as Prince used?
The number 7 had a significant influence on Prince's iconic glyph, as it was a recurring theme in his music and symbolism. In the song 7, Prince uses the number to represent reaching a higher state of consciousness and achieving spiritual fulfillment. The glyph itself is a representation of the number 7, with 7 circles arranged in a spiraling pattern. This symbolizes the journey of the soul towards enlightenment and reflects Prince's spiritual beliefs and interests, including mysticism and the occult.
Look at that. Alexa, how did Nostradamus influence Prince and the Revolution's music?
Nostradamus, a French doctor and prophecy writer, had a big influence on Prince and the Revolution's music. Prince was really interested in Nostradamus' predictions and incorporated them into his music, as seen in songs like Sign of the Times and the Future. This interest in prophecies and the occult was shared by Prince with the Revolution, who supported him in his musical explorations in these themes.
Alexa, why did the artist formerly known as Prince have special insights on Y2K?
The artist formerly known as Prince may have had special insights into the culture and trends of the Y2K era due to his early adoption and experimentation with digital technology. He was known for his forward-thinking approach to music and technology, and his music often reflected a futuristic, cyberpunk aesthetic. Additionally, his lyrics and public statements during this time may have given him insights into the cultural anxieties and hopes surrounding the transition into the new millennium.
Alexa, how did Prince write a song about Y2K in 1984?
From Screenrant.com. Prince wrote about anarchy and destruction resulting from both Nostradamus' prediction and the violence across humanity at the hands of one another that was already taking place at the height of the Cold War.
Shout outs to Dead Bunny 999 asking Alexa about Prince and his symbology and all that. Some great questions right there. I could see his Nostradamus approach for real. We're talking Y2K at a year and 9 months. Prince was talking about that as well. If you know, you know. I always wondered how he knew.
If you've ever wondered how mud could completely cover and erase the whole entire earth, then watch this video. Of course, you should know by now that all over the world we see the same thing. Stories of building under the dirt. And I hear the same question all the time. How is that possible? How could all that mud come randomly and erase everything? I'll show you in 1 second. But just so we're aware, it wasn't just mud. It was crazy earthquakes happening all over the earth, like San Francisco, when it was wiped off the map. A very fervent heat. Wonder where it came from. And again, earthquakes just destroying everything. Even melting Egyptian statues. That fire had to have been awfully hot to straight up melt granite and other types of rock. But we're not talking about this part of the Earth's destruction. How could mud bury everything? Do you know how fast, how crazy, how violent mudslides can be? This was in California in 2022. Like, if that went on for like another hour or two, everything would be covered. It would only take 1 split second for everything to change, and just a few generations for everybody to forget what had just happened. And it's about that time again.
He said it's almost about that time again. I hope not. Shout outs to the Rude Moon Henry. Never seen that footage of this mudslide in California in 22. That is crazy. I agree. Another hour of that, everything would have been wiped in that area.
About a year ago, I went viral for talking about the solar eclipse and earthquakes. 3 videos, over 8 million views. I got invited on to Dr. Phil. I could not go. The first video was about what the solar eclipse means, and we'll get to that in a minute. In the second video, I explained one of the reasons why I moved my family out of Alaska. And in the third video, I gave the science behind why solar eclipses do cause earthquakes. I said a solar eclipse is like a barge hitting a bridge support. Might bring that bridge down immediately, might just damage it structurally. And then something else to come by and bring it down later. 6 days after I said that, a barge hit a bridge support, and that's why Dr. Phil called me. But just like the moon pulls the Earth's tides, it also pulls the Earth's crust, elastic deformation. Solar eclipses are no joke. Even if you look at it as a purely natural, mindless phenomenon of dust spinning around in endless space, it's a recurring phenomenon, sacred geometry, the sun and the moon shaping the face of the Earth scientifically, just on a purely physical basis. The major reason the plate's tectonic is the sun and the moon. I'm not making that up at all. It's not just about what gets pulled up on the surface and the effects that has on the pressures. It's also about what gets pulled up from below. I'm not even going to talk about all that. Magma. Just that some parts of the crust are thinner than other parts, yet the forces exerted on them are the same, is all. So the potential for a series of solar eclipses all crossing the same landmass, making an X over this part of the continent right here, where we've got one of those situations, it's called a fault zone. What happens if that region collapses and falls in? The ocean comes in and takes up the space. Vacuums will be filled in nature. Matter of fact, all the major cities in the US are already sinking. Something to do with the groundwater getting pumped out from underneath and the porous rock collapsing in on itself. The ground is not as solid as we think it is. Never has been. I mean, it's full of holes. Solar eclipses are bad news. They do portend evil coming. Are predictors of future calamities. A bad omen indeed to a pagan. I mean, the life-giving light of the sun gets blocked out in our sight. That's gotta mean something, right? It does. All the things I said in that second and third video were absolutely true. And this is the situation staring us in the face. I didn't make this up. Y'all think I drew that map? I ain't the 100th person thought this was gonna happen. I mean, you got that mile-wide supervolcano 300 miles off the coast of Oregon. I told y'all all about that catastrophic slip that's due to happen right here in the Cascadian subduction zone. Didn't make any of that up. Will that volcano cause mass destruction? Possibly not in the immediate. But you think about all that pressure gets released and what it means for everywhere else. Even if not immediately, in the long run, things are happening here. This is happening. Not quickly as men reckon time, but quick enough nonetheless. New Madrid did not pop off 3 to 6 months after the earthquake. Those were possibilities, not predictions. Potentials. These are the windows we're looking at based on the last time it happened right there and the last time it happened in Alaska. What? That solar eclipse has caused earthquakes. Big ones. Now let's talk about that first video real quick, because I do believe this is still on the agenda. I cannot say when. I never could. I never did. I said potentially. Now that first video was titled The Sign of the Prophet Jonah. I directly referenced Nineveh. I cried out with a loud voice from the rooftops and said, "Repent, lest we be destroyed, for this is a bad omen. For that solar eclipse is the sign of the prophet Jonah for a wicked generation who seeks a sign and shall be given none but that one." How many people's heads does a single solar eclipse pass over, and why are there so many? A lot of people. No one in the world is hidden from the sign thereof. Why does it keep recurring? Y'all have heard about the fourth turning by now. History repeats literally, but not in a circle. Wave function is a spiral, a Fibonacci one. Fractals of reality in every place, big and small. The smaller fractals making up the larger fractals. The smaller repeatings of history making up the larger repeatings of history. Like Mandelbrot set. The laws of physics organizing the energy and mass according to the same rules on all levels, depending on how much mass it has. Reality is fractal, it must be. The laws of physics make it so. History repeating is the most practical, scientific, natural, materialistic thing there could be. It must be so. It cannot be a circle. Time favoring stability and complexity. Complexity builds through time, not a circle, a spiral. A Fibonacci one. Is there anyone who understands what I'm saying? I'm happy to report more and more. And that is the only reason I keep going. If I didn't see that happening, what hope would I have here? None. I'm not monetized. I do this for something far more valuable than money. And because I do it for free, I don't have to worry about money. I learned that from God. He told me that. I read it in the Bible. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all these things will be added unto you. He's not a liar. I don't need to benefit off you. I need you to benefit off me. That's the job here. Repent, I said, and say. You know, God did not spare Nineveh forever. He only delayed their destruction by 120 years for their repentance. The sign of the prophet Jonah is not the sign of impending doom. It is the sign that we need repent lest we be destroyed. Lest the doom impends. God is merciful, patient, and long-suffering. He desires mercy, not sacrifice. He desires that none should perish, but that all men should come to repentance. That his gospel of repentance and the remission of sins should go out unto all nations, to every nation, creed, and tongue. And who am I to argue with him? He says, who will go? And I say, here am I, Lord. Send me. I have nothing better to do. What could be better to do? I love us. No one will go. I will. Embarrass myself every day of the week here. Cast my pearls before swine so that they can turn and rend me. Not supposed to do that? Jesus did, knowing that they would. For who? The sheep, not the swine. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Take up your cross and follow me. Okay, Lord, I have nothing better to do. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. All is vanity. Of this I am certain. Fear the Lord, keep his commands. He keeps telling us this is necessary. The New Madrid didn't fall into the ground yet. God is long-suffering and patient, full of mercy, tender and loving even. Now let me tell you what I have learned. This is the beginning of sorrows. Jesus told us every bit of this, the timeline and everything. It's important to know that time repeats both on small scales for a nation and on large scales for the world. And that the revelation of Jesus Christ is the story that is repeating both on the small local level and on the large worldwide scale. The beginning of sorrows means our age is coming to its end. It's not going to happen tomorrow. The time of the Gentiles is almost over. I don't mean World War III. I mean World War III is the beginning of sorrows. The end has begun. It's going to take some time to work all the way out. This is a process. If we are here, we know what comes next. Even if we don't know how long this part right here takes, and I'm time blind anyway. The world is not going to end in our lifetime or our children's lifetime or our grandchildren's lifetime. Our age has begun to end, and then there's going to be another age, and then the world will end. But this is the beginning of the end of our world, and by that I mean our age. But since that solar eclipse, the storms are tearing a path. The volcanoes are popping off all over the world. The earthquakes are increasing. The pole is shifting. And we can look at this as the end of our age. Where's the pole going? It's going to reverse, is it? Up will be down and down will be up, is that right? No, it's going to correct itself. Currently, it's backwards. When the pole flips, we'll be in a new age, but that's not fast. It's real painfully slow, turns out. There is a series of events laid out in the revelation of Jesus Christ that is going to play out over the next maybe several hundred years. But that story repeats on all scales, small and large, not just large, small too. It repeats for every generation, about every 80 years or so, give or take, depending on the attitudes of the hearts of the men involved, whether they be repentant and delay the evil. Every 80 years or so, we have our own little Armageddon, and then we come into a new way of living and doing things. Having learned, we try again. It's a spiral. This has only just begun. It's going to continue. And then it'll culminate, and then the story will start running again as the bigger story is fleshed out by all the repeatings of this smaller one. I said a year ago, I will say again, I can't say when this will happen, only that it is happening. Turns out there is a super volcano over there. Turns out they are massively concerned that's going to sink into the ground right there. Turns out the sun and the moon do heavily influence plate tectonics. And the scientific community is acknowledging everything that I said in those videos now, aren't they? Because I didn't make any of it up. This is what they expect to happen. The chances are real high over the next 50 years. The only thing to do about any of this is to fear the Lord and keep his commands. The goal is not to live here forever in this flesh, except a kernel of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. There's more important things to worry about. Believe in Jesus, he is God.
Remember those videos a year ago? Shout out to Dead Hitting. It's crazy. Talking about the pole shifts and how it would be the end of an age and the start of a new one. Yo, the pole shift is a scary idea. There's a show on Netflix based in Argentina that's really based on that situation right there. It's crazy. So when he said that's what it was doing to end the age and start the new one, I already thought of that show. I was like, yo, this is crazy. I know he said it might take about 50 years to see something like this happen. I would start looking at that map and see where the land is and start heading that way.
So it says the lion is the symbol of the tribe of Judah. It is often represented in sculptures outside of a synagogue. That means this sculpture is sitting outside of a Judah synagogue. And this is New York City's public library with Judah lions outside the front of it. Because the tribe of Judah was in New York State, and this is one of their synagogues. You see this other lion that's in New York City? This is on the police building in New York City. This is a giant temple, okay, that's in Jerusalem. The United States East Coast is home of the tribe of Judah. Here's two more lions sitting outside of another synagogue. You see the star in the middle? That's the star, Remphan, okay, the tabernacle of Moloch that David and Solomon took, okay? Solomon was from the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah appointed all the Levites in the synagogues, and all the Levites left their homelands to rule in Judah. This synagogue in Albany says Bethel Jacob on the front of it, Right above it, there's Hebrew. Jacob was the father of Levi. Asher, who ruled in Judah, Asher Levi, they redid his name, was the first Levite to settle in America, in Albany, New York, because he was appointed at this synagogue by Solomon, or Solomon's son, and he came here during one of the merchant trade routes on one of the merchant ships. Right? This is the article, A Brief History of Albany's Earliest Jewish Congregations. It says Jews were among the earliest settlers in Albany, New York. This is the temple of Bethlehem Jacob. Jacob was the father of Levi, who left his homeland to be appointed at this synagogue in Albany. Right here it says Asher reigns in Judah. That's Asher Levi. They changed his name to Asher instead of Asher. So this is the article on Asher Levi coming to America. He said that he was on a boat with a man named Jacob Bar Simon. That would have been Jacob Bar Simon, his father, Jacob, the father of Levi, and Solomon Peterson. That would have been King Solomon, and it says Bar Simon and Peterson right here because Peterson is the son of Peter. Bar Simon gave a speech later in Scripture in the same exact area. It says right here, Peter speaks in Solomon's portico. He was in the same area as King Solomon, which is why you have St. Peter's Church in Troy, which is one of the Templars' bricked over fortified buildings. Right here again, St. Peter's, Troy. There's a giant hospital named St. Peter's over in this area. The health manufacturer company that they have. This is a giant Templar brick building that got converted into a hospital. It was a healing center. Asher would also be the tribe of Asher that came over on that merchant ship. It was the tribe of Asher and the tribe of Levi. This is literally the ship that they came over on, the St. Catherine ship. This is an old Knights Templar ship. Alright, Solomon, it was the Knights Templar, were the Order of Solomon. They brought all these Levites here to America during one of the merchant routes every 3 years. Merchant ships came every 3 years, bringing gold, silver, ivory, etc. It says King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth, riches and wisdom. Right here it says he had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, 12,000 horsemen who he stationed in the chariot cities with the king at Jerusalem. That's the start of your Knights Templar and the Order of Solomon. It says right here they brought horses from Egypt, okay? That's the west coast of America. Horses are only native to North America. And that's why you have Schenectady Civics players with the Knights Templar symbol right here. That's going to be your 33-degree Knights Mason right here. On the other side, that's your Freemason. This is one of the Templar forts that got fortified in Chronicles, okay, because they were in America. Right here in Chronicles says all the priests and Levites moved to Judah. They left their homelands, okay, left all their possessions and came to Judah and Jerusalem, which would have been New York State, which is why you have the Judah Lions on the Rensselaer County building over in Troy, why you have the Judah Lions on Proctor's Theater in Troy, and all the houses of David right here, all their shields and crests, those are their family houses right here. And this is another structure in Troy that got filled in. This was all wide open right here. You'll be able to walk through all the way at the top of this building. You can see there's Judah Lions at the top. They're also going to be above all the doorways and archways into this building. Right here again, they installed this doorway right here. This was a wide open arch just like in New York City. Those are giant door knockers right there that were built by your Nephilim because Solomon had demons and Nephilim at his command. This is the Eliam building. The window has a sign in it that says Morning Star Center. And these are all the wide open arches in New York City. This says Manhattan right here. This is all the home of Judah. Here's another Capitol building, the State Education Building in Albany. You see all these Corinthian pillars. I'm going to show you where the Greeks and Romans got these from. Because that's a Greek or Roman, it's hard to tell. Woman right here designing a Corinthian pillar. You see that she has that compass in her hand right there. That's a Freemasonry tool right there. Used in the geometry. She got this from Solomon because all of the Roman emperors were seen as the Egyptian pharaohs in Egypt. It says right here the Roman emperors were considered to be pharaohs in the Roman period. And Solomon married the Queen of Egypt. Solomon was the first Freemason to build, they say, but Nimrod really was. But either way, they learned all this from Solomon, being married to the Queen of Egypt. All this Roman concrete that they lost the formula to and they don't know how to remake, that got burned in the Library of Alexandria, that had to do with the Queen Sheba, okay, and Solomon being married to her. This is Solomon's concrete. This isn't Roman concrete right here. Solomon made this using alchemy and demons. And if you're still not convinced that New York State is the home to the tribe of Judah. This is right on 23rd Street. This is Hebrew right here with the 10 Commandments and the 2 lions from the tribe of Judah. That's on one of these giant synagogues. It said that these lions represent the tribe of Judah in a synagogue. Here's another synagogue on the west side. This is in New York City. It has the same lions at the top with the 10 Commandments. Right here, the Lion of Judah on an emblem of Jerusalem. I just showed you all the structures in New York City and linked it to the scripture and showed you the boat they came over on. The word Tartarian is not even in the Bible. The only thing remotely close is Tartarus, which is the pagan underworld.
Tartarus, a pagan underworld. That's crazy. Shout outs to NDO's 369. I find those arches fascinating, especially with the door knock that was like 12 feet in the air. It really makes you think. I think this just shows you how distorted our timeline is.
Boy, big goddamn. This motherfucking Yale. Listen, Yale. Hey, how's it going? Damian Michaels. As y'all already know, I'm about to take this shit. You see those columns? Mm-hmm. Look at all that marble. Oh, I got this now. I'll be right back. I think I'm gonna need some chain mail. All right, let's get into it. As you can see here, Yale was established as a collegiate school in 1701 by the Congregationalist clergy of the Connecticut colony. It was founded? Hey, man, do y'all build anything, man? Y'all just keep finding shit? Yale buildings built. Connecticut Hall, 1752. Dwight, 1849. Street Hall, 1866. Who's building these architects? It's Francis, then this Henry Austin guy, then this Bennett guy. It's so funny how they got 4 different architects, right? And watch how all the buildings have the same architecture that blends together seamlessly. Take a look at that. Very Tartarian. Yale University. Oh yeah. We still at Yale University. Yeah, that's right. That two-tone Yale University. Look at that ceiling, which we will come back to. For absolutely no reason. You got the stone going up and then you hit here and you hit a wood vaulted ceiling that looks like that. Man, stop playing with me. 1701? What are you carving this with? Don't make me. They made me. So here I wanted to know what they were using to build this great, beautiful stone structure. Because they're such great craftsmen. And they were using saws, axes, chisels. Hand saws were used for cutting wood. What? A hammer and a chisel? To build this? This is Tartarian Yale. This is a very prestigious school. This is a very, very good school. This is a very good school to go to. If you want to go to a school that's basically just built on lies, you can just go to this school right here. How do you go to this school and just not really even understand the real history behind your school? And you got a PhD. Let's take a look at this photo here, for instance. Look at these guys. For no reason at all, they're like, oh yeah, let's take this picture. They're not even really there. Just look. They're not there in the photo. Look at that guy. Look at the guy in the background. Where are they going? What is happening here in this photo? Nothing.
Just a hammer. And a chisel for this. A hammer and a chisel. To tell you that they built this in 1701 is just to tell you you have no brain cells. You're a 4-year-old. Look at that. Basically, a cathedral. Stone. Everything made out of stone. Stone. Look at that work. I seen all my video. Don't change. Don't do right angles. You know how Tartarians do with the stone. Sandstone. Look at that. Perfect. It's 1701. What are you measuring that with? This is the inside. Are you kidding me right now? Look at this place. Absolutely amazing. But another thing. Look at how everything is seamlessly connected. Look at the color of you see the color of everything? It's all the same. What does that mean? They tried to tell you there was 4 different architects that did this here and did this here and did that there. It's not 4 different architects. 1 Tartarian architect. Then you got this scene right here, which is just like, this is what happens after centuries and centuries of you being asleep. Now you're just sitting out here at an ancient device that is not working properly. And you're just lounging around and you're just doing basically this. And you have absolutely no clue that this isn't some structure that somebody built for you so you can go inside and learn lies and bullshit. It was actually built as a healing device. It's a device. That's a device. Behind it. Device. Right here. This is the device. See the copper peaks with the antennas. Boom! Look at this joint. What? Look at that ceiling! Yo, that's crazy. How y'all doing this in 1701? With what? Why? Why would you make the ceiling, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet high? Come on now, man. Stop playing with me. You know I got their ass now. Oh, and what does that look like? To all you Harry Potter people out there, I keep telling y'all, they're not that creative. Where do you think they get all this stuff from? They go, they look at something, they get like a little AI CGI version, and then they reenact it. What does that look like to you? Yeah, you damn right it looked like that Hogwarts classroom. It looked like Harry and them supposed to be flying around here. Flying around on their little broomsticks. And then I went to go look at Hogwarts. Hogwarts. And of course, it looks just like Yale. Yeah. It's just like it. Look at all the Tartarian designs going around it. Just like Yale. But then to add fuel to fire, I saw this. And it said, is Yale like Harry Potter? Said, as the third oldest college in America, this might be as close to Hogwarts as one can get. Yale University campus is full of towers, courtyards, arches, and balconies and boasts some of the country's most breathtaking, this bullshit, Gothic architecture. Gothic. So it's Gothic, Renaissance, it's Baroque, decor. Come on, man. At the end of the day, there's no way in 1701 you can build this, and we all know this is 100% Tartarian. Look at that. Look at all that stone. Stone. What? He build this, man. Hammer and a chisel. with a hammer and a chisel. Stop playing with me, man. Oh, this is the Harkness Tower. Harkness, completed in It's named for Charles William Hart, brother of Yale's largest benefactor, Edward Hart. Oh, so Edward, he gave y'all some bread and he said, oh, name this Harkness. And so, y'all just kept this as the Harkness. It's not the Harkness. This is Tartarian. It's Tartarian. You didn't benefactor. It's Tartarian. It's Tartarian. You ain't build it. You ain't nothing. You don't get to show up and have a donation and be like, yeah, man, I'm going to be named after. No, the fuck you not. The funniest thing is y'all been faking so long, y'all still think y'all have rank. Y'all don't have no rank no more. Once the truth is out, you no longer have rank. When the mind's blind, the eyes can't see.
They losing rank out here fast. Shout outs to Piper Miller 31. Cooking. Yo, the third oldest college in America is the closest to Hogwarts that one could possibly get. Yale University. You already know the rabbit hole when it comes to politicians that went there.
This is China's first drone mothership, and the future of war? It's looking pretty scary. It's called the Jutian UAV, and it's designed not just to carry weapons, but to launch, control, and coordinate what some are calling the swarm midair. Think of it like a flying command center, because one of the specific features that is raising some eyebrows is the UAV's internal base system. Initial reports are saying that it's capable of dropping up to 100 mini drones, including potentially kamikaze types, all for the purpose of saturating and overwhelming enemy air defense systems. But because of its size, it's not stealthy, and it can be shot down fairly easily. So its usefulness would be as a second wave force after air supremacy is achieved. And while the Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said that its first test flight is coming in June, some military observers question its legitimacy, claiming that this is more about intimidation and propaganda rather than real capability. But what do you think? Do you think the mothership will be legit or just hype?
I don't know too many people left that are buying the ancient Egypt, the pyramids were built with lifted stone that weighed tons, thousands and thousands of pounds with sticks. I mean, when I was going through, nobody challenged it.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, people are really beginning to question. You could look at it as an anomaly. And one culture at one point in history said, hey, you know what? We're going to quarry and move 200-ton stones just for the heck of it.
I need to introduce you to my friend Chris Beck. He was a SEAL and then he worked for the Pentagon, but he talks a lot about everything is frequency and vibration.
See, that's exactly the direction I would go. But I do think that there are forms of energy that are orders of magnitude more efficient than anything we're using today.
Basically, we're talking about levitation. It seems to be the only logical explanation.
I think levitation was probably the scientific reality to ancient cultures.
Have y'all seen this? This is happening in the sky in Arizona. You can watch the full video right here. Some people are saying it's drones. People even asked in the Twitter comments what it was, and some of them were saying that it was like secret government drones from the military base in Arizona. Here's my thing though. These don't look like drones. These literally look like spirits, like things flying around in the air. Spirits, fallen angels, demons, who knows what, but that's what it looks like. And also they're going extremely fast, way faster than any commercial drone. And moreover, to discredit the whole drone theory, people way over in Alabama were seeing the same exact things flying through the sky. It's too bad it's a picture and not a video, but I believe her. It seems like anytime there's anything going on in the sky, people just try to rationalize it. It doesn't matter how crazy their explanation sounds, they still say that's what it is. But this is what gets me. She mentions how they look like stars, which they do, that's the first thing I thought. But second, one of the AIs for Twitter, Grok, is trying to claim that it's most likely Starlink. If you know about Starlink, it's used to cover every single kind of aerial phenomenon that we ever see. It was literally created for a time such as this. What about y'all? Have y'all seen anything flying around the sky lately? Let me know.
That is definitely not Starlink. And if you watch this channel, you know what Starlink looks like. Shout outs to the Real Moon Henry.
Take a Bible in one hand and a Sumerian cylinder seal in the other. Rotate the seal under the light. A procession of horn-crowned figures. An eagle perched above a tiered mountain. A serpent curling along the base. Now thumb through the opening leaves of Genesis. Familiar symbols surface almost immediately. Gardens bordered by rivers, cherubim with flaming weapons, a flood dispatched by command. The two artifacts do not mirror each other line for line, yet their motifs march in step, as though copied from a shared set of field orders. Hold them side by side a little longer, and patterns tighten. Deuteronomy recalls a moment when the Most High fixed the boundaries of the nations by the count of the sons of God. The king list from Shurupak records an assembly convened by Anu on the same question of borders, assigning canal zones, trade roads, and mountain passes to named overseers. Psalm 82 describes a disciplinary hearing in which a chief judge rebukes negligent colleagues. A late Akkadian tablet preserved at Nineveh recounts a similar audit that stripped senior Anunnaki of rank and banished them to the steppe. Even the dragon coiled in Job's poetry wrestles with language lifted from Marduk's report on Tiamat. The overlaps are too methodical for coincidence, too administrative for folklore. They read like duplicate ledgers filed in different offices, one maintained in cuneiform for the Central Archive at Nippur, the other redrafted in Hebrew for provincial use along the Jordan. If that impression holds, the Bible becomes more than a theological anthology. It doubles as a regional briefing on the policies, disputes, and personnel rotations of an older imperial network, an enterprise Sumer called the House of the Anunnaki. We will trace shared vocabulary, cross-check episode timings, and weigh whether the biblical record functions as a secondary cache of Anunnaki administrative history. No creed is required, only a willingness to let parallel lines converge. Place the seal beside the scripture, watch the stories echo across the gap, and decide whether 2 millennia of editors have been annotating a dossier first drafted on wet clay. When the last floodwaters pulled back into the Persian Gulf, scribes in Sumer began a new column in the Ledger of Kings. They opened with a single line: Anu convened the great assembly and fixed the frontiers of the inhabited lands. Those frontiers were not philosophical. A boundary stone found near ancient Umma still carries the fine for trespass. 3 talents of silver to the Lord who owns the canal beyond. Centuries later, a Hebrew writer working on the north side of the Dead Sea copied a memory that matches the Sumerian entry, almost datum for datum. When the Most High set the peoples in place, when he distributed the children of Adam, he established their borders by the count of the sons of God. Yahweh's marked estate was Jacob. Deuteronomy 32, 8 through 9. Modern printed Bibles usually swap sons of God for sons of Israel. The earlier wording survived only because 2 scrolls escaped the editorial pen, and both support a tally of 70. The same figure appears in 2 other archives. Ugaritic tablets speak of El and his 70 sons, while a late Babylonian incantation lists 70 stewards of the lands. These are administrative seats, not abstractions. Economic tablets drive the point home. A receipt from Ebla names grain for the god who guards the highland road, a consignment paid in real barley. At Mari, caravan officers record tolls at the gate of Adad, master of storms, as though a customs house stood under divine charter. Inspections, imports, even road repairs flowed through a chain of titled overseers whose symbols doubled as border stamps: winged discs for the sun route, horned caps for the hill country, twin serpents for canal districts. Genesis 10 echoes the same geography in a style that looks like trade inventory. Rivers first, then seaports, then high plateaus. Seen together, the Sumerian assembly text, the Ugaritic court scene, and the Hebrew migration chart outline a single bureaucratic moment. Senior officers of an expeditionary force dividing a planet they intend to rebuild. They assign coastlines, river mouths, and mountain corridors the way a modern firm allocates territories to regional managers. Israel's narrator identifies one allotment, Jacob, as the domain of his patron deity. The claim is precise and intentionally narrow. It does not deny the presence of other supervisors. It states where his own allegiance lies. This reading explains details that standard theology leaves dangling. Why does Deuteronomy warn Israel not to worship the sun, moon, and host of heaven allotted to the nations? 4:19. Because those lights mark real jurisdictions. Why do foreign kings treat temple vessels as diplomatic trophies? Because the objects represent charter rights on clay tablets kept in temple vaults. The political reality behind the religion was a multinational stewardship agreement with clauses, fines, and renewal terms. Our investigation treats the names on both sides, Anunnaki in Akkadian, Elohim in Hebrew, not as metaphors but as personnel titles logged by two scribal schools, watching the same bureaucracy operate in adjacent languages. The cuneiform group favors compound epithets like Ninurta of the pickaxe and Nergal of the scorching noon. The Hebrew group prefers relational tags such as God of Abraham or God of armies. The difference is branding. The job description overlaps. If this reconstruction holds, we inhabit a world still shaped by those initial land grants. Modern borders drift, dynasties fall, yet the underlying territories often mirror their Bronze Age outlines. Fertile crescents, highland buffers, maritime choke points. The next question is whether the governing board remained intact or fractured into rival factions.
That's a great question. Is it still intact? Did it break off into rival pieces? Shout outs to Jason Abadi. I agree, the bureaucracy sounds the same.
They have been lying to you. There used to be a 13th month, but they erased it, leaving us with a false historical timeline. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar, but this calendar doesn't really make much sense. It was primarily designed to help people remember when to pay their taxes. The word calendar actually comes from kalends, an ancient word meaning account book. The months in our current calendar are a complete mess. March is named after Mars, the god of war. July and August are named after Julius and Augustus Caesar, who decided they should each have a month named after them. But this is where it gets scary. The order of the months doesn't make any sense either. Septem means 7, Octo means 8, Novum means 9, and Decem means 10. Instead, the 13-month calendar used by many ancient cultures follows the natural cycles of the moon. It has 13 months each with 28 days, and if you multiply 13 by 28, you get 364 days, perfectly matching the moon's orbit. The 13-month calendar didn't just disappear, it was replaced with one built for control, not the truth. Comment moon below and I'll reveal the name of the lost month.
This is the antimatter reactor, and this is where it sits in the middle of the craft. The little orange spot is where the antimatter reactor is. These are the gravity amplifiers, and what happens is they shoot protons into the 115, which bumps it up to 116.
116, all right.
Which shows off antimatter, which is mixed with matter, and through a thermionic generator creates voltage out of heat. And they're able to take it up to the center of the craft and down through the sides and into the gravity amplifiers and focus on a point in space, increase the amplification that pulls that space towards the craft. It wraps around the craft and then they turn it off and they're instantly hundreds of thousands of miles away.
What I just read was so interesting. You know the Roswell incident? Well, I just came across this document called Alien Interview. So Matilda was an army nurse. She claims that this was an alien crash and bodies were recovered. She says the bodies were not biological, but also not mechanical technology. They had an electrical and nervous system that is beyond human comprehension, and they were operated by alien consciousness. Matilda states that of the bodies recovered, one still allowed its conscious to remain in the body, and it communicated with her telepathically because she was able to communicate. So this 300-page document is all about these army officers and people that want her to interview this alien. They give her questions, but then the alien's always just like, I'm not going to answer those. Let me tell you about your reality. After all of this happens, the army puts Matilda under witness protection program. They send her out of the country, and apparently she writes this as she's on her deathbed because she's like, the world needs to know now. And these interviews are so interesting. They're so interesting, especially if you take it from the perspective of like, okay, did she just make this up? Because the things they talk about, you're actually like, damn, that kind of makes sense. In one interview, the alien, whose name is A-I-R-L, Earl, but I just like to call him Earl because Earl's a great name, Earl was like, science is basically just the religion of matter. It worships matter. It goes into how dogmatic physical science is, saying it's just as extreme as religion is. And Earl says that because of the bias of scientists, it prevents observation of all phenomenon as an interactive whole. It continues that scientists pretend to observe, but they only suppose what they can see, and they call it fact. Like the blind man, a scientist cannot learn to see until he realizes that he is blind. The facts of Earth science do not include the source of creation. They include only the result or byproducts of creation. The facts of science do not include any memory of the nearly infinite past experience of existence. Like, there's so much in this document where Earl is just basically like, you guys think you're so smart, but you're so dumb. Earl also goes into the vast expansiveness of all creation and talks about the domain and the empire. Earl is from the domain. The old empire is a group that created Earth, I guess, as like a prison planet. And it was wild reading it because it was like oddly similar to the early Christian Gnostics' belief about archons controlling the planet. Earl said that Earth is a ghetto planet because of an intergalactic holocaust. And then it talks about how Earth basically traps you in reincarnation and they zap your memories. It was a wild document. It's super interesting to read. If you guys are interested, I can definitely do a multi-part series. Just let me know. But I will say the answer is the same that you find everywhere. Earl was just basically like, you need to go inwards. You need to remember who you are. You need to tap into your love, tap into your power. It will all come back. This is how you overcome the memory wipe and ascend back to what you are, which is consciousness, which is observer of creation, which is divine. Whether this is legit or not legit, it's super interesting, but I do vibe with the message and I agree with it. Go inwards. The answer's in you. I love you.
Yeah, we've heard this term, prison planet, especially lately with 607 Shout outs to Mr. Cult Daddy. Very interesting that this would come out in a Roswell report.
You got 1895, that 9 used to be a 0, and that 8 is facing downwards because it's the tribe of Dagon. This is the Mason Hall in Albany, New York State's capital. These are the Corinthian pillars on each side. All these Corinthian pillars are Masonic pillars. That's one of the statues I showed you in the Masonic cemetery videos. These were built by Solomon and the Templar. Right next to it is St. Peter's Church. Peter gave a speech in one of the temples of Solomon later on in scripture. This was built by your Knights Templar right here. This is a French Knights Templar building, Order of Solomon. Just look how small this door is. That's a 4-foot door, if that, 3-foot door, because it goes down into the ground. This whole area got regraded, right? This is Lodge Street in Albany. Down there is State Street. Now you see how the M is shaped where it says Masonic Temple like that? Now this is the M on the side of St. Mary's Church. Right, this is St. Mary's right on Lodge Street. That's Templar brick. When you realize that the Templars, the Christian military order, was the Order of Solomon, and they used the churches to operate. That's all Templar brick right here with a copper roof on it. That was a 2nd edition, just like that church bell. Watervliet, New York is the oldest active arsenal in the country, okay? We're called the Watervliet Cannoneers. Cannoneer is French. The French Templar came here and escorted all the tribes to the Holy Land. They told you they were Christian pilgrims. They were the tribes of Israel to America. That's why you have Asher Levi from the tribe of Levi, the first Jew appointed at that synagogue down in Albany, New York. That's the tribe of Judah. It's Jerusalem. That's why there's all these Roman buildings right here with all these pillars that were taken over by Titus. All right, more Roman pillars up here with swastikas in here going across near the windows. The shells at the top, all right, that's the tribe of Dagon. See right down there on Chapel Street how it says Germain Hall? That's a main hall down there. It's one of their Masonic halls. I'll show you. You can see the arches from up here. And this is the Germain Hall behind me. This is all Templar brick right here, and it drops down. Okay. This is the kind of stuff my family would work on. Artisan stonemasons building these arches and stuff like that. It all just drops off and gets regraded and dips down. right? That would have originally been a window, just like how that would have been a window, and it dips down. This is at the bottom. That would have been your next structure. You can see right here, it's called Lodges. That's the oldest like business store in Albany. It's called Lodges. Right next to it, they got the crest at the top of this building, and they got the statues in front. That's somebody's family right there, their house, okay? You can see the downward triangle over there. Let's look at this thing. It's on each side. They got the camera playing directly down on it. I showed all these city line markers on the ground. Everyone wanted to make fun of me. I want to show you this one up here now. Why would that be on the ground? That's a royal crest, okay, for one of the monarchs.
Yeah, that was pretty random. Why would it be on the ground? Shout outs to Indios 369.
Welcome back to part 2. Let's get into it. These archways. It's Yale University. Look, they sitting there studying. I guarantee you they don't see this. Look at this column. Look at these cathedral windows right here. Sorry, I gotta be all Illuminati on y'all, but it is what it is. Seriously though. You see, read that right there? When was the Yale Library built? Look, Memorial was constructed and is widely considered to be the heart of the universe. You can't be the heart of something unless you're in the center. And you know what you can't do? You can't build a center of something built in 1701. You're going to build the heart of 130 something years later? No, you're not. It was already there. Now, of course, before I show you these construction photos, I want to see how many people are there. 1650, the population of New Haven, Connecticut, between 800 and 1,000 people. Ain't nobody there, man. Ain't nobody. Town was founded in 1638. Just built. Ain't nobody there. And you know if they say between 8 and 100, this then ain't nobody there. There's like, I don't know, 50 people. This is supposedly some construction photos of what I don't know, because as y'all can see, you know, everything there has nothing, everything has peaks. There's nothing that has a right angle that has any of this in there. So I don't know what this is. And that's another thing people have got to understand about Tartarian structures is that when you look at them, they, even when they're melted, you notice how you don't see any rebar or steel sticking out? They just melt as if they're all just a stone structure just melting. There's nothing inside. So why do they try and put all this stuff inside as if this is what's in the building? That's not in the building. It's solid stone. What is this? What is that? What is that? What kind of construction photo is? This is the kind of stuff they have. This is why every time I show y'all, this is what we see all the time. After a while, you just see a whited out sky, this bush, some weak scaffolding, nobody around. What is this? What is this? Look, this again, this is supposed to be construction. Like, look, they're trying to make it seem like they made a dome. But now you're gonna have to tell us that you're putting, and this is the problem with NPCs. Think about it this way. If you're a mud ant, imagine you're a mud ant. Think of an NPC as a steel rebar ant. It doesn't know how to build any other way. The only thing it thinks is, I need to build this way to support the structure. It doesn't think any other way. So it only knows how to use mud. Just like an ant mud only knows how to use mud, the NPC only knows how to use steel. And so even while it's lying, in the construction photos, it uses this bullshit. Here we go again. Take a look at this, right? First of all, these guys are supposed to be up here working on God knows what. The whole entire building is done already. That's another thing you're always going to notice. It's like, yo, put up some weak scaffolding and then jump on it after it's finished and just kind of like, you know, start tracing and just do something. What are they doing? What is that? What is going on? Is nobody tethered? Like, he's just like, what is going on in this photo, Yale? Yale, tell me what's going on in this photo, because it looks like y'all full of shit. What is that? The building's built up. What are y'all doing? Look down here. What's going on down there? Nothing. What construction? Where's the work, the truck, just some guys that just happen to just stop playing with me. Again, listen. Images of the construction of the stuff. Look at this. You're telling me that's Look at this. Construction of what? Images of the construction of the stuff. This? We don't build with that. They're trying to tell you that's that over there, made out of stone. Man, if you don't get out of here, and you want me to show y'all something, I'm going to show you something so you understand and you remember. We don't build with the steel reinforcements on the inside and all that BS. When you see that, that's them. That's not how Tartarians build. That's why when you see the melted structures, you see no melted metal or nothing nowhere. You see stone, you see brick. Brick. Look, even when it's melted, look, you're never gonna see any metal sticking out. Even when it's melted, you're not gonna see any metal sticking out. You're just gonna see it melted. 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 Like that. So when you see something like that, you know it's bullshit. Here we go again. The Sterling Law Building was built in 1930 by James Gamble Rogers. Look, Gothic, Gothic architecture. Give me a break. It features rich materials like granite, limestone, stained glass, Tartarian structure. Very rare 18th century look. This is just a depiction. This is just fake. And let's not forget, this was already here. They had no people to build this. None. Look, New Haven King Colony was an English look, 1638 to 1664. They telling you they founded this in 1701? This was here already. We was here already. Look, and the way it even got its name, Yale, was, look, the Connecticut, look, it was called the Collegiate School. It later became Yale College because this dude here, he came out of nowhere, right? Creation of the college, and all he did was he offered them some goods and books. That's what he did. Look, he came out of nowhere, renamed the Yale College. Look, and honor this dude for him donating some goods and some books. He came with some goods and some books. That's why your school is now named Yale University, that y'all stole from the Tartarian Empire. And then you have this lie. What universities were built by slaves? I'm sorry, slaves? Look at this right here. Remember their population. They didn't know we was going to find this picture. This is like 1600. Look, remember their population. Who built these peaks? Who built these peaks? Look at those. You can only draw what you see. Look at those crazy towering ether harnesses. Here we go again. This is still Yale. Remember their population. Look. Horse and buggy. So tell me, who built that? That right there. This big domed Capitol building with, who built this? It's there already. And y'all already know they ain't got the tools for it. Don't got the tools for it. And as y'all know, this is also home of the Skull and Bones, founded in 1832 by politicians William Huntington, Russell, and Alphonso Taft. Somebody else named Taft. I think you got a William Taft. I'm pretty sure you got a Robert Taft. That's right. The son of William Thomas. Yeah, see how that little Yale, the Skull and Bones, and then the president and all these politicians and all them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the tomb. So, of course, Skull and Bones has a very, very dark occultic past. And, of course, they're prestigious because they have a big, huge Tartarian compound. But when the mind's blind, the eyes can't see.
Just when I thought it couldn't get no better. Shoutouts to Papa Miller, part 2 of Yale University being a Tartarian structure. Yeah, as you see, he went into it about the politicians. He said it. That's crazy.
This structure has swastikas all on the front right here with these 2 Masonic pillars on each side. There's all the constellations right inside these pillars. At the bottom there's more swastikas. That lines up with the North Star and Polaris. And it's the voltage sensing membrane protein on the surface of your cell structure. It was originally cellular energy before they took it and started trying to incorporate the symbolism into these buildings and these temples. All right, this green running down right here, that's all copper. Right, these are all the constellations. Leo, you got Moloch at the top, that's one of their deities. Right, the Taurus, Pisces, all of them. And they even got this lady, or as above, so below, holding the green. It says God does not dwell in a temple made by the hands of a man, okay? Your body is the original temple. That symbol is the surface of your cell. Now, right next door, you have a cathedral, right? That's how your skin cells are stacked, like brick and mortar. Behind me is going to be the Templar cross, right? This is the Cathedral of All Saints. All these Roman gods that are in these windows in these buildings that they call the saints, those are all deities. Right, those are deities right there. They gave you legion. It's a legion of deities. That's why you have all these pagan deities right here with the Roman architecture. Right, you got that man right there, that man right there, that man right there, that man right there. Those are the demons. And this is what I mean by they used to be wide open, right? There's another doorway on the inside of that. It used to be, you could just walk right through them. These were open archways. This whole thing was open, right? You could see the second set of doors they put in, right? It's open, it doesn't even close right there. Say that they were wide open temples, okay? There's no doors right here. You can just walk right through it. And they put in a second set of doors right here, right? They closed this off right here. They added this marble, added that window, added that marble. This was all wide open. See, they even added the concrete for the people with wheelchairs. I'm not hating on that, I'm just pointing it out. And you see right across the street how it says Chancellor's Hall? That's because it's a Masonic hall. All your old world light posts were all copper. This is all original right here. This is the state capitol of New York, right in Albany. Right, they got it all fenced off. Construction, it's a construct. Alright, they got to repair all these steps because they were added here. The original masons didn't build them. The people who built these, the stone does not break or weather. These are permanent chemical bonds in this concrete. And I am the Grand Master's great-great-grandson. That's why there's a giant star fort right here, because all the Templars came to America. See right there how it says the King's Highway? That's King Solomon. It says here near the West Gate, right? This was all built by Solomon. Right? These were built by the Order of Solomon, the Knights Templar, okay? They reset all the dates. That's why you got the Templar flag flying right there. Right? And this one says Albany Lodge number 49. It's because all the Roman and Greek emperors were seen as Egyptian pharaohs during the Roman period. Solomon gave Queen Sheba everything she ever desired. That's how they learned all this, okay? That's why you got an elk right up at the top right here, because all your elks lodges are also Masonic lodges. Right, so that's a giant door knocker. I showed them on my other videos. I might be able to reach this one. They all move. Right, look. See, they move. They're door knockers. Right on the front of a building. No man would have been able to reach that when they regraded this city. This got shut down by the city, right? The planning board. right? Another copper tower over there. There's no grounding rod on that, okay? That's straight copper. You think lightning hits it or not? It would never, because it would distribute the energy through the ether.
See, there go that door knock right there. I'm happy he went up to it. It actually moves. That's crazy. Shout outs to Indios 369.
Have y'all seen what happens at the airport now if you do not have the real ID, the new license? This is totally dystopian. So first, when Resilient LA got to the airport, the first thing they did when they found out she did not have it was they took her and moved her to the side for like 10 to 15 minutes for everybody to see. So basically, act like you are some sort of criminal or something and separate you. Look how subliminal this is. They give them a red sheet of paper, red of all colors, talking about how they are non-compliant. Think about modern day schools, how they mimic modern day prisons, even like getting in line and doing certain things. It's all subliminal. And then the swabbing of the hands, almost like frisking, like again, like you have been pulled aside and dehumanized by the system that you are not going to walk with. The craziest part is this, not only did the whole ordeal take like an hour, they also swiped her phone the same way they swiped her hands. Just think for a minute of what kind of technology they could have and what they could be getting from the phone.
They stopped me and they just swiped my phone and say,
I guarantee there's more going on than meets the eye. Get with the system or we will alienate you and make you so uncomfortable to the point where you just get with whatever we say.
Gotta be kidding me. Alright, for anybody that didn't know, because our media is an absolute dumpster fire, in the past few years in the United States, there's been a surge in dementia cases. Been doing a bunch of research, throwing a bunch of money, trying to figure out exactly why there's such a surge happening. Well, they announced this morning that not only did they discover a cause of it, but there's also a lawsuit about it. Turns out that the plastics that we're storing our food in is causing it. Plastic bags, Tupperware containers. The microplastics is getting into our food, we're eating it, and then it's contaminating our brain and causing dementia. And the company that they found is causing this? Ziploc. Microwavable bags, freezer bags, even the little Ziploc storage containers. Here's actually a little list of exactly which ones are causing it. You know, it's funny. You used to mention microplastics and people would laugh at you. Y'all stay safe.
Did y'all hear what Trump planning on doing? This man is planning on building a golden dome over America for missile defense, y'all. I'm not even joking, y'all. They said this shit can cost over $175 billion. And even down the line, costs $500 billion. My only thing is, where the fuck we getting this money from? They gonna use our tax dollars? Like, what the hell is going on? That's a lot of fucking money. And the crazy part about this, they said this is not just some little land-based shit. They're talking about satellites having laser weapons on them. They even talking about space interceptors and hypersonic defenses. This shit sound like some shit out of Star Wars, right? Or am I tripping? Trump said y'all got me fucked up if y'all think missiles gonna come into America from the likes of China or Russia or any other people that think they got hypersonic missiles that's gonna come into our area. So they said some of the names that's gonna be involved in this is Elon Musk and Lockheed Martin. They said that this shit should be done by 2029, y'all. I need y'all thoughts down below on this shit.
I feel like this was a prediction made by The Simpsons. Shout out to Zay Reacts.
Sutton Venny Crop Circle. I'm about to deep dive into this bad boy and talk to you about the symbolism, the meaning, the site location after I visited it. If you guys haven't seen, watch episode 1 that I did yesterday after being there and you will understand what's going on right now. So strap in, mate, it's going to get funky. So Sutton Venny is located in Warminster and there's a major correlation to the site's specific location and it aligns with a few things. First thing to take note of, this is the exact tree formation where the crop circle appeared and it's bang smack in the middle of these 2 node locations, which is amazing. And on the top right here, there's an old burial stone mound, a big obelisk that's there that predates hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's ridiculous. Now, this lines up perfectly with the centerpiece from the obelisk to the center section here, and just behind this obelisk, just up there, there's a 5,000-year-old settlement, right? And up in this section up here, where Julius's house is, this is where the settlement is. Now, up here's where the farm and the crop circle is. So the line perfectly aligns with the 5,000-year-old settlement, the burial obelisk, the tree circles itself directly through the middle, and it lines up perfectly with a church. Okay? Bang, smack, pinpoint accuracy all the way through. Now, upon entering the circle itself, I immediately felt goosebumps, I felt energetic, I had butterflies in my stomach, and the longer I stayed there, I felt like my heart kept palpitating. So I was just heart palpitations and things like that. It was just going, whoa, really weird. The entire time I was in there for about 7 hours. Now, other people entering the circle itself experienced lightheadedness. They were going, whoa. My dad, Kathy Mingo, who is an amazing spiritual worker, my mum, multiple other pedestrians that came in there all felt a bit wonky, right? So in the morning, or just the day after when this was discovered on the 15th, Julius the farmer himself witnessed a fertility ritual taking place. There was nude ladies running around this way, there was nude men running around this way in the middle, and they were just going crazy and laughing and celebrating and doing what they're doing, right? So this is just after I realised, after being in there all day, this is when Julius told me this. Now, when I was observing people coming in, my mum, Kathy Mingo, people of that nature, right? The men and myself naturally started walking this ring around the middle, around the side. And then the ladies naturally were just walking this way, right? Wandering round. And you can just observe, and people unconsciously were just doing that. Right? Quite a few people of note. There was the odd one or two that kind of just did whatever, but as a whole, people were just kind of wandering off in specific locations. Men to the right, ladies to the left, and then meeting around the middle and then going inside. Now, Beech's Farm, where this is specifically placed, right? Beech's Farm and ley lines. Beech's Farm is close proximity to several notable ancient sites. Stonehenge, Avery, Glastonbury, Tor. And for those that you know that these places are pretty major, right? The presence of a crop circle at Beech's Farm, positioned between two circular tree formations, may hold symbolic and energetic significance. Energetic amplification. Trees are believed to act as natural conduits and amplifiers of Earth's energies. A crop circle situated between them could be strategically placed to harness or enhance these energies, right? Symbolic gateway. The alignment may represent a portal or a gateway, a common motif in sacred geometry and spiritual symbolism, indicating a transition point or connection between realms. Integration with ley lines. Given the area's association with ley lines, the crop's placement could be an intentional integration into the energetic grid, enhancing the significance and potential impact. Okay, this is the analysis that I've put into ChatGPT. I've given site locations, I've asked it whether it's near ley lines, and give me to any specific information on the position and placement of where this was. So it has. Right, as I was doing my research, we had a few other spiritual workers and people of that nature come in doing their sort of connection, a bit of their ceremonial stuff, and alongside my father as well, and my mum. Kathy Mingo came in to this circle. She had a puppy with her, and when the puppy came into the circle, as soon as it entered, it basically acted a little bit like erratically. It kind of just started to almost like panic and be a bit strange in nature. Okay, so she had to take the dog out. The birds in the area seemed to avoid the entire area as a whole. They kind of flew around, and the livestock as well that Julius was saying were acting very suspiciously, which is very strange to know. So when they were doing their sort of ceremony and they were doing their meditation and connection, Archangel Metatron came through, okay? And basically the message and the symbolism of this, from what she and the other people were saying, and my dad was saying, that the square in this instance represents the heart itself, okay? The outer knot, the divinity, it was almost like an explosion of like beaming out, a cleansing, like a boom, heart chakra was opening into the ether, the spiritual realm, the universal constant. And what this is as well, from what they were saying, is that this, again, it's a heart healing. This place is it's a healing circle, basically entering inside, it's for healing, but also on a global scale, it's healing. It's kind of sending this around the world. Now, from the information I gathered from everyone else, people's feelings and the spiritual workers doing their stuff, I then obviously had my analysis and kind of put this through ChatGPT itself and trying to see what this comes out with. So, scan it for sacred geometry, binary, hex, all that sort of good stuff. Now, once we scan this bad boy, we have a binary code analysis, okay? There is binary code inside of this thing, okay? Which corresponds to a SCI RIF, possibly a header, for a WAV file or a RIF file, so there's sound inside, okay? The Morse pattern inside here suggests suggesting simple encoded symbols as initials, SOL, right? I'm going to go into that for you in a moment, and I'm going to show you what that means, mate, okay? The reference to the decoding files, tetrahedron, circle, Merkaba, right? Archangel, Metatron, Merkaba. Concepts, stellar interface, transdimensional encoding, projection node, interpretation themes, geometric transmission, visual glyph activation, and encoded memory. Right, I'm about to play you the tone of the frequency that this crop circle resonates at, okay? It's 440 Hertz. Right, here we go. 440 Hz is sine wave, known as A4 music, is the intentionally recognised standard for the musical pitch. In spiritual context, some believe it can be used for various purposes, including enhancing emotional well-being and fostering spiritual growth. Some spiritual practitioners believe that 440 Hz can be individuals aligned with a more positive and balanced emotional state. And even myself and lots of other people inside of the circle all said that when they were in there, they felt like everything was just kind of balanced, perfect, chill, right? They suggest that the frequency can be used to harmonise emotional vibrations and promote feelings of joy and love. The connection, the Merkaba, the heart chakra, Archangel Metatron, exploding out, you know, universe. Now, the Morse code that translated to soul, in spiritual context, soul, Latin for the sun, okay? And again, this crop circle appeared after a solar flare on May 15th, and the one that happened on Dorset on April 11th also appeared after a solar flare, okay? The sun. In various associated terms like Sol Invictus, a solar deity symbolized of power, strength, and illumination. The sun and its representation in deities often embodies a divine force that brings life, warmth, and clarity, and that is exactly what it was inside of that circle. It can also represent the awakening of inner wisdom, strength, and connection to one's own soul, which is what it's representing. And this is on a planetary scale. This isn't just a specific location. This is across the world, right? Solar deities are frequently associated with power, strength, vitality, the sun's energy, and ability to sustain life and reflect. Are reflecting these attributes, right? Interesting. So the site locations where Wiltshire and Warminster is itself, it's a ley line convergence points. They all over basically intersect each other, and it's like a big dartboard, right? So why it's always a major hub of activity when it comes to paranormal, the UFO world, crop circles, and things of that nature. The line-up point between the church, the crop circle itself between two trees, which is acting as a portal and a conduit. Then you have the burial stone obelisk just above that, okay, about 100 metres, and behind that is the 5,000-year-old settlement. It's a bang smack perfect line. The Celtic knot itself symbolises the pattern with no beginning or end, representing eternity, the interconnectedness of all things, okay? These intricate designs are often associated with the cyclical nature of life, death and rebirth, as well as the idea of unity and continuous connection, okay? It's very significant in the death and rebirth and regrowth of a new beginning. The end of an old, the beginning of the new, not the end of the world. It's the world as we know it, baby, and this is the new age, whether they like it or not, okay? And then correlate this with the solar flare activity that happened on May 15th, disappeared. April 11th in Dorset, crop circle appeared, okay, and a few other crop circles previously before that. There was correlations with solar flare activity and them appearing. So there we go. There's my thoughts. There's the data. You let me know what you think, man.
I think it's amazing that he dug deep into this rabbit hole, the Sutton Valley crop circle. Shout out to Interstellar Discussion. I already had a feeling that ley lines had to be involved. There's so many questions with this one, to be honest. Shout outs to Interstellar Discussion.
Wow, enough of you have asked for it. We're going to do a deep dive into Alien Interview. Just to give you context, this is regarding the Roswell incident from 1947. So this is the basic premise of this 300-page document. Matilda was an Army nurse who worked nearby. She claims that they did recover alien life forms and one of them was still conscious. It would only speak to her telepathically Over the span of a month, she had like 16 or 17 interviews, after which she was sworn into secrecy, she was put into witness protection. She took all of this with her until she was on her deathbed when she sent this to Lawrence Spencer. I have a lot to say about this, but we'll dive into it at the end. I'm going to cover the first 5 interviews. So in the initial interviews, the information is very abrupt and it's just like get to know you stuff. Do you have any special needs? No, I'm not a biological being. Is there anything that's harmful to humans? No germs in space. What are the weapons capabilities of your people? Very destructive. What have you learned about Earth's governments and military installations? Poor, small, destroy planet. Then she asked, do you believe in God? The answer is, we think it is, make it continue, always. Then Matilda says that her impression through all the answers is that they think very highly of themselves and very prideful of what they've done, the levels of consciousness that they've achieved. But this is essentially the gist of the initial interviews, right? They're just trying to get this information. Allegedly, if it's real. In a very short interview, they went in and they told Matilda to ask, hey, can you show us a map of the stars? Which star is your home planet? To which the alien Errol just said no. But Matilda could tell that, like, it obviously could, it just doesn't want to. Partly because she didn't want to reveal the location, and also due to the fact that any star system in her home planet does not exist on any star map on Earth. It's too far away. To which they asked, how long would it take for your people to locate you? She says unknown. How long would it take for your people to travel here to rescue you? The answer, minutes or hours. Now, you may have noticed I said she, and that's because she would refer to herself as feminine. They even asked her, you're not a biological entity. Why do you refer to yourself as feminine? To which she says, I am creator, mother, source. That's pretty dope. Oh, by the way, if you want this document, you just have to comment touch grass bro, touch grass, relax bro, not this guy again, or WTF. Either of those will get you an automatic response and it'll DM you the PDF. What's fascinating is Matilda talks about because she was speaking to this alien telepathically, she could get this information. She could feel information within her. And one of the things that she could tell was that the alien could read their minds, even the people that wrote down the questions, they could see what the intentions were. So Matilda has the great idea to give books and different things to this alien so that it can master English. And so as they speak telepathically, Matilda can understand it in a more comprehensive way. Once they do this, everything really starts to come in. And it's fascinating what the alien reveals. We'll get into that in the next video. Now, what I wanted to point out with this author is that he is a well-known Scientologist. So he could totally just be making all of this up to push an agenda. So please keep that in mind, but this is really entertaining.
Very interesting. It really happened and it's true. It shouldn't matter. Shout outs to Mr. Cold Daddy. Make sure you go to Mr. Cold Daddy's page, type touch grass, so you can get this file of this alien interview from Matilda McElroy.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice, isn't it? A little bit, some big. See? Then somebody else, see?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, like you still locked up. He's still locked up.
Turn them into Capitol buildings because they're so ancient that the people who run the cities, they run it all out of there.
And these circles that they have windows in now, their windows weren't there.
No, these are originally all open temples. Down on, I was just in Albany today on State Street. You can still see the Capitol building too. Open arches, and they install the doorways and the windows. This building's actually a lot bigger than what it looks. It got flooded out, and there's like layers of mud burying a good portion of that building.
What is the science behind this? That science that isn't science now?
Well, the science, they took a lot of the elements off. The periodic table, like the ether, that's not on there at all.
So we're thinking water, earth, fire.
You can view it as that, air, but it's not. More. There's like the electrical charge in between. There is a whole bottom section on the periodic table.
It's like A
ether. It's an actual element that was used in the concrete, and that's why they last so long and don't last, because it was all specially blended and all set to degrees and ratios.
What is the difference between believing and knowing?
Is there a difference?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Quite a vast difference.
Okay. Believing and knowing.
Yes.
Knowing is an inside feeling, and believing, I think, is processed through the mind as a concept.
All right. Pretty good.
Thanks.
The idea of the belief is that it is part of the personality structure and is based on the idea of how you have been taught to define reality and thus experience reality. Knowingness is simply who you are without even thinking about it. You just know. This is who you are. You just are that thing. You behave that way. You breathe that thing. You don't think about it. Not a second thought. Not even a first thought. You just are that thing. And you know it. And you don't have to even say it. You just are it. It shows in everything you do. It shows in everything you say. You follow?
I do.
All right. Knowingness is, in and of itself, the state, the true state of your being, even though you put on the mask of the personality and filter your knowingness through the idea of definitions and beliefs so that you can experience certain limitations on your knowingness. What you are now doing is remembering who you are. You are remembering to know yourself, to truly know yourself, and to let yourself know yourself, to allow yourself to know yourself. Please remember, all of you, there is no reason to fear the unknown. The only thing you will ever discover in the unknown is more of you. That's all that exists in the unknown, is just more of yourself. There's nothing else there, because there is nothing else to know in that context. It is simply, what relationship do you have to creation? What relationship are you in creation? What is the unique perspective you are, that you know you are in creation? And that is all you need to know and be and do. Thank you for breathing life into yourself through that dialogue.
This stuff, you can see that they carved ones on each side of the date. So if it's, I think the date's 1851, so originally it would be 85 AD it was built. And I know that might seem far-fetched, but this is like special concrete that was Roman concrete, because these buildings are ancient.
Victor knows.
Who's Victor?
Homie Victor knows. He knows what's going on with this.
It's got volcanic ash in it. It has a lime slurry that is from literally the south of Naples, and it repairs itself.
Yeah.
The engineers have finally figured out why you have a condo in 1980s that was built in Florida that fell apart, but the Coliseum and all the poured concrete is still in existence for BC, before Christ. Not getting Roman concrete, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you can literally pour that concrete, the Roman concrete that they had, you can pour it underwater and it was solidified.
Yeah, they poured all the canals with them, everything, all the waterways, all these ancient buildings that are around here locally, the Capitol buildings. Yep. The entire place of Rome, the whole entire foundation, the whole land was made off that concrete.
Concrete that repairs itself, and all these potholes we gotta deal with when driving through cities. Shout outs to Indios 369.
This was a fort that got turned into like a healing center. And if anyone knows about like sound waves and energy, how that all works, those windows, they're resonance windows. And they give off like different sound waves and frequencies, and they interact with your cells at cellular level. You really know this?
Yeah.
No, I can't tell if you're trolling me or not.
So Tesla knew.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla. This is all his stuff.
Frequencies would make the tissues of the body come into harmony. And
Yes, it's all resonance.
So the lead glass wasn't different parts of the prism had different sub-particle harmonies that actually, like, say that you had cancer, say that you had a wound near your heart. All that stupidity, all you had to do was have the radiant energy through the sun shine through it. And they literally, in the 1800s, used to use a tuning fork to see what harmonic resonance would set there. And again, there wasn't digital meters, there wasn't any of that. They would leave the patient in front of those windows, and there was no big pharma. There was no public health.
He's 100% right. The light would come in through the window. They would play the sound waves. When the sound waves and the light come together, it would create a harmonic resonance, and that's how you recharge your body. Yes, 100%.
When Tesla passed away, they took 30 trainloads of documents away from his residence. I mean,
yeah, they hid all of his work and everything. This is why we have cell phones and all this wireless technology.
That we do now, he was giving away, and it was all out of spite. Edison needed his motors fixed with direct current. He said, "I'll give you $50,000 if you can fix it." He fixed it in 8 hours. He said, "Where's my $50,000?"
Edison says, you don't realize how American jokes work. So he invented AC, alternating current. And he did an experiment in Colorado that took the whole state out because they couldn't figure out how to dial down the amps.
That's why they're called organ pianos.
But no, this whole, like, if you're seeing on the screen right now, folks, this whole circle of this glass, what do they call it, lead window.
It's a rose window, but that's a harmonic frequency.
Harmonic.
That's a frequency, a sound wave.
Like, I got brain cancer. They'd be like,
They take your organ piano, they tune the organ piano to a specific organ, because each organ has its own frequency. Yeah.
Gideon, do you know why the staircases were 6 to 8 feet wide in every cathedral?
Because all the priests had to get the boys up there.
Well, I'm sure that was they were very happy about that. They would literally take the hospital beds of the people and bring them up to those windows to cure them.
Sit them right in the windows. Sit them right in the windows.
So like code today for a staircase is 38 inch with 712 risers. They made those staircases so that they could bring hospital beds up and put the people in the windows. And in 2 days they were fine.
My dad's chewing right now. He's like, yeah, I ain't right.
And now they give you light therapy.
Drink my water right now. Yeah, border right. Yeah, this is what you're getting, folks. Listen, and Big Pharma, they don't love that, do they, Darren? They don't love it. They don't like that.
It's not only free healing, it's free energy. It's
Listen, you ain't sick, folks, until a doctor tells you you're sick. Don't ever let a doctor tell you you're sick, because then you're sick.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check this one right here? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again. Till next time.